two very popular mid-range dashcams offering great value for money. I'm putting the Viofo A229 Plus and the Redtiger F7NA side by side. Which one is better? Let's inspect. Hello, welcome back, I'm Michael, and today we'll talk about these two dash cameras worth your attention. The newer F7NA from Redtiger and the model A229 Plus from Viofo. It's a little older, still a very relevant model on the market, and I picked it over the Pro version because it is the closer one in terms of specs and price. Which one comes out on top? I will start with the footage comparison, then move through design and mounting. We're going to talk about the tech specs, the software experience, basically everything that actually matters when you're the one paying for it. Let's begin with side-by-side daytime samples. Redtiger on the left, Viofo on the right. The Redtiger model has an edge here because it runs a true 4K Sony STARVIS Generation 2 sensor, meaning more pixels than what the Viofo offers, and it shows in the footage. That said, while the Redtiger has more raw detail, the A229 Plus holds its own thanks to the reduced contrast, and its HDR clearly does work when it comes to shadows and darker parts of the scene. I expected a bigger gap in Viofo's favor in this particular clip, with the car facing the sun directly, but aside from the better shadow visibility and the slightly more texture on the building at the top right, there isn't much separating these. However, the Viofo does pull ahead through plate readability. The numbers on the cars to the right are noticeably clearer on the A229 Plus, which tells you its HDR processing is doing real work. Flip the scenario though, and put the sun behind you, and the F7NA pulls ahead again with more overall detail and more room to zoom in. So for daytime, I'd call it a tie, more resolution and detail on the Redtiger, but more consistency from Viofo in the tough scenarios where the sun is working against the camera, and the bonus of 60 frames per second if you ever need it, which is something the lower resolution on the Viofo side allows for. Once the light drops, the F7NA starts pulling even further ahead. Look at the stop frame, stronger colors, more detail, and clearly better plate readability on the left side, which is the Redtiger. I can even make out the IKEA logo in the background, and that alone tells you how much more the sensor is pulling out of the dim scene. Push it further into full darkness, where the sky gives you nothing and the cameras are relying purely on street lights and traffic, and the Redtiger keeps that strength. It's my favorite of the two in this exact condition. So for the front modules, the takeaway is simple. The better sensor does translate into better real-world performance, not just better numbers on a spec sheet. Now, the rear modules. On a bright day, performance is close. You will notice differences depending on the scene, but nothing too much in dynamic range, color, or sharpness. Nighttime is where it gets interesting, and this is usually the hardest test for any rear-facing camera, since the headlights point almost straight into the lens and they wash out everything darker around them. This round goes to Viofo, and the reason is simple. The A229 Plus uses the same sensor on the rear as it does on the front, which gives it a real resolution and image quality advantage. Redtiger doesn't disclose what sensor sits in the F7NA's rear unit, and it caps out at 1080p, so this is one area where the spec sheet difference actually shows up on screen. On design and mounting, there's a few things worth flagging. The Redtiger is the newer unit and uses a suction cup mount. The front camera itself has a smaller footprint and it can tilt left and right, which gives you more flexibility when positioning it. The trade-off is that the camera sits further from the windshield, and on cars with an aggressive windshield rake, the gap can occasionally introduce lens flare. I haven't run into that myself, but it's a real possibility depending on your vehicle. Viofo goes a different route with quick release mount, something you can stick to the glass once and it stays there for as long as you own the camera. The A229 Plus keeps the wet shape that the brand is known for, and you will either like the look or you won't. There isn't much middle ground. Both cameras rely on physical buttons for their menus, and from actually using both day to day, I'd say the Redtiger layout lets you get to what you need a bit faster with better visibility on the screen itself. So I'm calling this round for the F7NA, but want to be clear that the Viofo is perfectly capable here too, and plenty of owners specifically like how discreet the fixed mount keeps it once it's installed. On paper, the two are close to even. Redtiger has a true 4K sensor up front. Viofo answers back with a stronger rear camera. Both run on a supercapacitor rather than a battery, so neither one is going to degrade from sitting on a hot dashboard during the whole summer. Both support micro SD cards up to 512 gigs, and both have built-in GPS. Redtiger adds a touchscreen on top of its physical buttons, which the Viofo doesn't have. Where the two actually diverge is parking mode, in my opinion. The A229 Plus runs buffered auto event detection, which saves 15 seconds before and 30 seconds after a triggered event, on top of the time-lapse or the low bitrate recording options. Redtiger's parking mode is a bit more basic, without that buffered pre- and post-event recording. If 24/7 parking protection is a big part of why you're buying a dash camera, I think that's a real functional gap in Viofo's favor, not just a paper spec. Software is close enough that I wouldn't make a purchase decision based on it alone. Whatever you can adjust on the Viofo, you can usually find an equivalent for on the Redtiger, sometimes laid out a bit differently. Neither company has built what I'd call a clean, intuitive menu structure, and that's true across most of this price bracket. As for the phone apps, Viofo has stayed largely unchanged for a few years now, and it covers everything the on-device menu does, plus footage preview and download. Redtiger's app does the same job with a marginally nicer footage review layout, and download speeds are close enough between the two that it won't factor into your decision either way. Accessories are close to identical between the two. Both can be equipped with a CPL filter to cut windshield reflections, and both need a separately purchased hardwire kit if you want true 24/7 parking mode. Neither one includes these in the box, so budget for them if 24/7 protection matters to you. So here's where it lands. And price is really the deciding factor. Viofo has been in this space since the early days of budget dash cameras, and that shows in the A229 Plus. It's a mature product from a company with long track record of reliability and support. Redtiger is a much younger company, but the F7NA is a real proof of progress both in build and in actually matching the sensor to the resolution that is being advertised. And when you factor in that the F7NA gives you a stronger front camera at a lower price than the A229 Plus, that's what tips the value equation in Redtiger's favor here. Not because it's the better camera in every category, but because it is the better camera for what most people are actually paying for. As always, I love to hear from people who actually own any of these. Would you go with the Viofo because you just like the brand, or you feel Redtiger has the better potential? If you've had either one installed for a while, drop your practical experience in the comments, good or bad. If you're in the market for a dash camera and want to grab either one, the links are in the video description. Thank you for watching this video. Drive safely and responsibly, and I'll see you soon.